Hey, what's up? What's up, people? So here's the deal. We're going to talk about Revelation chapter 7, the great multitude, and what is it, and who is it, and why does it matter? Revelation chapter 7, and we are in, let's get down here, verse 9. And after this I saw there was before me a great multitude no one could count, from every tribe, every nation, every people and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. They were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands as they cried out in a loud voice, "Salvation belongs to our God." Jump down to verse 14. I said, "Sir, you know, these are those who came out of the great tribulation. They are washed their robes and made white in the blood of the Lamb." Okay, that passage, there are several ways you can interpret that. Number one, you can interpret that is the Jewish revival in the tribulation. That's one possible translation, even though it's problematic. The second thing is the church is raptured, because they're before the throne and before the Lamb. And it says they came out of the tribulation. So, I don't see any possible way you can translate that is that's the church on the earth in the Great Tribulation. I do not see it. I think you'd have to do some really, really fancy hermeneutics to try and get that, and you're going to have to inject a whole lot of things that simply are not found in the text. It says that they came out of the tribulation. It doesn't mean that they got saved during the tribulation. It means they came out of it, and this is the church in heaven before the throne, taking their place before the throne, crying out to God, "Salvation belongs to you." They're washed in the blood. That means that they're born again, and they came out of the tribulation. Quite honestly, to believe that we're going through the tribulation period, you have to do a lot of injection and a lot of fancy hermeneutics. You also have to completely discard the fall of Jerusalem. Like, completely discard it. You have to, there's just so many passages that say, hey, we will not be here. The early church lived as if Jesus could return by lunch. Okay, so it's just, Revelation 7 is not there. And, obviously John was speaking of something prophetically or something to come. Because there's guys like Brian Zahn out there that try and say that this was a critique of the Roman Empire. That doesn't work either, because there was very unlikely that there was 144,000 Jewish believers, 12,000 from each tribe exactly, by the time John wrote this. So that doesn't work. And it doesn't work for every tribe, every nation, every people group. Ethnos is the Greek word. Doesn't work for that either. So it's obviously futuristic, and it's obviously after the church has been taken up out of the. So it just doesn't work. I don't know how you could get fancy with hermeneutics, and you'd really have to inject a lot of culture, a lot of history, and stuff is just not there. Anyways, there's my thoughts on Revelation chapter 7, the great multitude of witnesses, and why that is the revival before the rapture, before the great and dreadful day of the Lord, and it was the end time harvest, not in the tribulation. With that, I'm out here. See ya.